Sorry about the fucking noisy-ass fan. It just, it's pretty rare to say, but it's actually really hot here. Or at least, hot enough by the standard of the UK that, I didn't really want to just, sit here, sweltering. This valley has gone through some modest renovation. I still can't get over that. It's like a fucking, like a Bond one-liner, you know? Yeah. Right now, welcome back to reality, you guys. Right now, this is terrible. This valley has gone through some modest renovation. I sound more like Bane than Sean Connery, really. You know, Paula wakes up. What's happening? Ness goes, welcome back to reality, you guys. Right now, this valley has gone through some modest renovation. Alright. Paula and Juff dried their clothes a bit before they gazed at the horribly changed landscape beyond the cliffs. For the love of... We surely underestimated... I'm speaking like a fucking idiot. For the love of... We surely underestimated how destructive he can be, Paula noted cautiously, as she and Juff looked back at Lucario, trying to calm his grunting sounds down. Juff wiped his glasses with his shirt, though it wasn't all that effective since he was all wet anyway. Let's not ever bring up anything that remotely has a chance of him losing Chris forever. If we do it again, he will level the valley, he trailed off. Paula turned back to the hot spring and remembered that she had fallen asleep in there, despite the mass hysteria of the event a few minutes ago. Say, this hot spring put me to sleep, she said, earning their attention. So it was true Lucario and Chris fell asleep in there. That's kind of really, really strange, Ness said, staring into the big rocks that rolled inside the steamy pond. As he theorized why the spring had to be drugged with the sleep effect, he looked a tad serious. Hey, wait a minute. Something strange about all this, you two. Why would the Mr. Saturns in here drug this hot spring, and why did Chris even disappear from here? Juff and Paula of course! They're not innocent people at all. They drugged Chris, didn't they? Yeah. And they gave him to the, they handed him over to the villains. Yeah, I shouldn't be so sympathetic towards them. They're arseholes as well. That's kind of really, really strange, Ness said, staring into the big rocks that roll inside the steam. Why would Mr. Sanderson here drug this hot spring? And why did Chris even disappear from it? Juff and Paula stared at each other in a moment of realization. If they made the hot spring like this... Oh, sorry. If they made the hot spring like this, there's no conceivable way they don't know what happened to Chris. That's what I think about the strange kidnapping, Juff said, rubbing his wet chin. Unless there's someone else in the valley that was targeting one of us and they took advantage of the hot spring's effect. What of Gygas's cronies? Ness said. Or, pray tell... Pray tell? What? That's not right. He used that incorrectly. The little shit. He does that all. I don't know why I singled out that phrase in particular, you know. There's certainly no shortage of, you know, malapropisms in this work so far. I don't know why I picked that one in particular. Or, pray tell, the Subspace army the two of them are looking for, Paula said. Hearing Lucario's growls, the girl looked at her companions. We have to interrogate them to find out the truth, before our you-know-who decides that creaming us is a good stress reliever. Okay. Before our you-know-who decides that creaming us is a good stress reliever. Jeez. I'm presuming it doesn't actually mean what I think it means. Okay. Maybe creaming means something different in America, but, I mean... This is, I'm not gonna dwell on that too long. It's a good stress relief. Okay. Conveniently enough, there was a waddling Mr. Saturn walking on the other side of the hot spring. They noticed him first before he did. Though when he saw them running to him in a pincer attack, it was too late for him to make a run for it when one of them leaped on top of him. Oh, damn. Screaming, stress relief and leaping on top of people. This is a very saucy section of the story. Fucking kill me. For he was walking around the scene of the crime. Stuck under Ness's body, the boy demanded the squirming creature by saying, "Okay, you, tell us what you know about our friend who disappeared from the hot spring. Do it, or I'll eat you whole." Paula slapped her forehead in embarrassment. "Zoom! Dunno! Friends carry boy to waterfall." "Ness, seriously, it's not like we'll get our answers dropped to our..." Juff, Paula, and Ness gapped their mouths at what the sweating Mr. Saturn had just said. Say again?" "Waterfall Heights factory! Wait 30 seconds for door to open! Friends trapped! We desperate! Captured sleepy Ness boy! Why Ness boy here? Bring, boing, zoom, boing! Body squished! Secrets hurt!" The three children were quite distraught at what the Mr. Saturn had just told them. They were equally astonished to get that much info dump in a short time. Well, wait. This is a bit too much to swallow all at once, Paula said. Ness yelped when the Mr. Saturn slipped through his body press and quickly fled down the valley. Desperately. Because the creature didn't care about jumping down at a high height. What's up with these short sentences? Fled down the valley. Desperately. Because the creature didn't care about jumping down at a high height. He was lucky enough to have a tree break his fall down below, but he cared about hiding behind a rock to avoid the ensuing punishment for revealing the dark secret to the children. When Ness tried to go after him, Paula grabbed his wrist to keep him from running. "Paula!" Ness yelped. Ness, it's fine. I think we have enough clues to go on," Juff said, having translated all of what the Mr. Saturn had said. "From what I gathered from that one, he just said that Chris was carried off to a waterfall that hides a factory behind it. And the Mr. Saturns were trying to capture you to trade you off for the other Mr. Saturns." Okay, so they are sympathetic. They're just trying to get their friends back. Okay. So yeah, no, it was a terrible thing that Ness did. I keep changing my mind about this, but no. Yeah, no, it was... Yeah, no, I mean what Lucario did, rather. It was shitty. Fuck you, Lucario. They know where they are, and they tried to get me killed by the enemy's hands? Jeez, Ness complained loudly. But how do they end up taking Chris instead of me? Well, you two sort of wear the same attire, Juff pointed out. Both of you have the same hair color. The big difference is that the Mr. Saturns ignored were your skin color and the pitch of your voices. Skin color? Oh, of course, Chris is Hispanic, isn't he? I forgot about that. And pitch of your voices. He also said they were desperate. It's probable that they were just as confused when they saw the two Nesses walking about, that they chose the right one, but sadly got their facts mixed up. I'm increasingly sounding like Forrest Gump, I note. He explained as he adjusted his glasses in thought. So, as you see, this is how the plan was carried out and was met with failure on their part. Ness and Paula blinked in surprise at the statement. But how could they carry Chris away without any of us noticing? Paula asked. Oh, there's an interesting little caps lock bit down there. Let's see what that's about. How could they carry him? They probably snuck him out when they got us all busy doing menial tasks and conversations, Juff theorized further. Needless to say, it was very lucky for them to put Lucario out, or else they could have been found out easily if they had gotten to Ness like they originally planned. They took the wrong target, and this is where we are. The other two members were left speechless by the sound theory Juff put up. It made so much sense to them that it was also surprising a kidnapping plot was being planned by the seemingly docile creatures. When they turned to look at the Mr. Saturns down below, all they saw was all of them taking cover. It looked like news about the failed kidnapping plot had spread out like wildfire among them, that they were absolutely terrified about what else to do next. The creatures thought that the damage caused to their home, which they had originally ignored as just another weird day at the valley, was clear punishment for failing the mission to save their friends. And they were trying to get me killed in a factory. You're all pricks, hear me? Ness yelled. The Mr. Saturns hid completely behind their multiple hiding spots, a lot of them failing to conceal their whole bodies. "I'll toast you up for dinner tonight for trying to mess with me. I gave you hospitality, and you repay it with kidnapping and potential murder?" "You didn't give them hospitality, they gave you fucking hospitality. They accepted you into your valley, you ungrateful douchebag." "Ness, we know they're very desperate. You don't have to scare them even further," Paula scolded. "They try to get me freaking killed," Ness yelled. To Juff's mortifying horror, the loud screams Ness was making had alerted Lucario about what was going on. "They failed and got Chris instead, and now he's going to suffer what they tried to do to me. Who knows what they've been doing to him behind that waterfall by now? I could have been dead if I hadn't taken a dip inside that drugged hot spring before he did." Ness was so focused on venting out so loudly that he wasn't paying attention to the large shadow looming behind the three children, though Paula and Juff did notice the source and were doing their best to tiptoe away. "What kind of messed up creatures are they for trying to get innocent children with psychic powers killed? What, do they even care about the outside world, or do they think humans are the expendable race over their silly big noses? I ought to—"
"Did you just say they know where Chris was taken and took part of it?"
Lucario asked, his voice very stern. Ness mildly ignored the sound of cracking knuckles. "Yeah, I just said that out loud. Can you believe these guys even have the nerve to go that far to—" He turned around slowly and looked up at the indirect, red-eyed glare looking down at him atop a murderous body. Realizing that the other target was a reason the valley was nearly level to the skies, Ness took a few seconds to carefully choose the right words to use. "You know, dude, instead of wasting time venting it out on these guys, we could be going back to the waterfall to storm the enemy stronghold and rescue Chris. What do you say if we forget about screaming our heads out and we start the rescue mission right away?" Ellipsis. Lucario closed his eyes and let out a small growl.
"As long as I can rescue Chris, then..."
He nodded quietly and seemed
"As long as I can rescue Chris, then..."
He nodded quietly and seemed to be perfectly calm, to the shock of the children coming back from their short distance. Good, he didn't kill the Mr. Saturns. That's nice of him. "Holy crap, I'm still alive!" Ness rejoiced mentally. Right, so glad to have you on board then. Now everyone, let's head for the waterfall to that factory."